Step into Christmas. Step into Christmas.
Best Christmas song. Best Christmas song ever done.
Hello and welcome to this week's Football Talk podcast, a special podcast. Not only is our last one before Christmas, but we'll also be reviewing the last decade in football. So a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Well, not New Year, because we'll speak to you soon, but it's a special one. So count yourself lucky. I'm wrapping this treat, finding the golden ticket of a podcast with myself, Josh Willie Cool, and Dave Walkit Wonka Nichols.
Josh Willie Cool, Wonka Nichols. Love it. Yes, hello everybody.
I had to
Happy
go
New
which
Year,
way
Merry
was
Christmas.
it going to be? Me be Willie or me be Wonka? I don't know.
Why did you give yourself Willie?
Never give someone else Willie.
Whee! Merry Christmas everybody. Thank you for tuning in again. Apologies for previous technical issues on podcast. They have all been solved on Spotify yet again. But yeah, we're good to go.
Excellent. Yes, and this is the decade of football because we're about to enter a new decade. Dave, you and I will obviously, this will be our fifth decade, our second century, our second millennium.
Hang on, our fifth decade? That's not right.
80s, 90s, noughties,
oh, yeah,
10s, and then
we're so old.
yeah. I mean, our first decade, we spent a mere 4 years in it, so
yeah.
It's not. I have many memories of the 80s, but I do somewhat love the 80s, like Stranger Things. Big fan of Stranger Things because I don't know, 80s feel very homely. Like kids feel like childhood films. 80s seems very comfortable era.
Yeah. Okay. I get that. Yeah.
Yeah, like like Goonies and.
I think the 90s is more of a comfortable era.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so because I don't really remember. I was 4 when the 80s finished, so
Yeah.
I think the 90s is more of my. Yeah, I haven't seen Stranger Things though, so that might change it.
You haven't what?
I know this. I haven't told you this. Yeah, I haven't seen Stranger Things.
Do you have access to Netflix?
I do have access to Netflix. Yeah.
Is it a Singaporean Netflix? Like you have?
It is Singaporean
every
Netflix.
Region has.
Yeah, it is Singapore. But I do think Stranger Things is on it. So.
Oh, there is literally no excuse. I would watch that because that is very enjoyable.
Okay, noted. Thank you.
But more enjoyable because of the 80s. I think if it wasn't the 80s, I'd find it a lot less enjoyable.
Okay, interesting. That was interesting.
Anyway. That's not what we came in to talk about. It's a Stranger Things podcast. It's a football podcast, and tables have turned this week, haven't they, Dave?
They have. They have. The quiz is ready.
I'm typically the quiz master, but Dave, this week is going to be a quiz. So, are you going to be singing the intro, Dave, or
no,
is this going to be full of me still?
You can still do the intro.
Right. Ooh la 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 la. Ooh la 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 la. Ooh la 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 la. It's quizzing time for me. Right.
It is, and this is a bumper quiz, Josh. You have a maximum of 25 correct answers in this quiz, and it will be all various points about the decade that has passed in the football. In the football.
Yeah, in the football. Nice.
So, 25 points can come from multiple answers for one question. Some questions then also have a bonus question, which can get you another point. I will explain when there's a bonus point.
Yeah, I'm already confused and worried I'm going to fail.
Don't you worry. Right, there are, in total, you have 25 answers, but there are, how many questions have I got? 10. Only 10 questions,
okay,
but 25 answers. So, okay, first up, in September 2009, Coca-Cola ended their sponsorship of the EFL Championship. Who took on the sponsorship to start the decade?
Okay, are we going to? Do you want answers straight away?
If you know the answer, you can tell me straight away. If you don't,
nope.
Okay, so for a bonus point, you might know this one. Who ends the decade as the current sponsor of the championship?
Okay, let's just get some questions out there. Give me some thinking time.
Okay, so that's question 1.
Okay.
Question 2, where there are 2 correct answers. Jan Vertonghen and Toby Alderweireld make up the centre-back partnership with the most appearances for Tottenham this decade. Who are the full-backs that have appeared most for Spurs in this decade?
Okay.
All right, do you want to answer that one, or you want to hear a few more questions?
I would hear a few more questions. Well, I won't break the trend, just because I think I might know that one. Yep.
To the nearest 10, How many appearances did Aaron Lennon make for Spurs this decade before being sold to Everton in 2015?
Is this in all comps?
This is in all competitions, I'm pretty sure I've got here. Yeah.
Do you know what? I'd even forgotten he'd had a little stint at Everton because I was going to go when he went to Burnley. But
okay, so you have a bonus point. Because the bonus point question is, who did Aaron leave Everton to join later on in the same decade? Burnley. So you have one. Okay, number 4. Who was Man United's main shirt sponsor at the start of the decade?
Ooh.
This has a bonus point on it as well.
Okay.
The deal was eclipsed by Chevrolet, who offered how much per year to be Man United's main shirt sponsor?
Do I have a threshold on the...
I will give you a range per year. So you could have like a 5 million range sort of thing.
5 million range,
so like if
okay.
you're going 5 to 10, 10 to 15, 15 to 20, something like that.
Yep, okay.
Are you writing these down as we go?
Yeah, of course I'm writing these down.
Yeah. Number 5. Which Irishman has made the most Premier League appearances this decade? Bonus point. Who is the second most Irishman with the most appearances, however you want to phrase that question?
The second most
Irishman. Yeah. So I've put a lot of work into this quiz, Josh.
You have put a lot of work, yeah, and I'm going to absolutely shit on it by just going, I don't know.
Okay, number 6. Obviously, listeners, please comment below and play along with this as well. Number 6. The FA Cup has had 3 different sponsors this decade. Can you name them? Bonus point. Which year in this decade did the FA Cup have no sponsor?
So there's 3 sponsors, and I've got to name all 3 for a solitary point.
No, so you get a point per answer. So
Okay,
when you have multiple things, so like the fullbacks for Spurs as well, that's 2 points you could possibly get.
Okay, gotcha. So I'll get 4 points for that.
That
if
is
I
a
name the year and
4-point
3
question.
sponsors.
Yeah, that is a 4-point question. Number 7. Which Premier League club has earned the most through player sales this decade? This question blew my mind when I got the answer for this. There's a bonus.
Really?
There's a bonus point for this one as well. Which club globally has earned the most through player sales this decade?
Oh, I think I know that one.
Okay, I've got a feeling I think that's the only question that doesn't. The only point available that doesn't involve the Premier League, by the way. Number 8. Within this decade, Man United have had 4 goalkeepers that have featured in 10 or more Premier League games. Can you name them?
Okay.
Number 9. Jose Mourinho is the current manager of Spurs. What other teams has he managed this decade?
How many have I got to get there?
3. There's 3 correct answers for that one. Number 10, and the final question. Can you name the 2 top goal scorers in the Premier League this decade?
Okay, all right, you got a little bit more satisfactory near the end there.
Yeah, you have 25 points to get. Is there anything you would like to cross off? You've already got Burnley for your Aaron Lennon question.
Okay, we'll start. I mean, this first one I'm struggling with. So this is the EFL Championship sponsor change. I have drawn a complete blank, so we'll park that one.
Yeah, okay.
For the most appearances in the decade for fullbacks, so this is the second question.
For Spurs
is most appeared fullbacks. I'm going to go with our standard pairing at our peak, Carl Walker and Danny Rose.
Correct, 2 points.
Okay. Nearest 10 appearances, Aaron Lennon appearances for Spurs. I'll park that one. I'll just thought to that one. Man United main shirt sponsors. Was that? Oh, sorry. Was that how many have they had, or
no,
name the other one?
Who was Man United's main shirt sponsor at the start of the decade?
Oh, okay.
And then the bonus question was the deal was eclipsed by Chevrolet for how much per year? Yeah, in a 5 million range.
Okay, so I'm going to take a stab at that one. I'm going to go for AIG.
Oh, incorrect. You can come back to it. It's not a one question. It's not a one answer and you're out. So
okay,
we'll come back to that one.
Irishman most Premier League appearances this decade. Now this is a real thinker. There's probably because in looking back over a decade, it's been a funny one because you go, a decade's quite a long time, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, Sir Alex was still managing, and Jadon Sancho was at nursery at primary school, and
I lived in England.
Jamie Vardy was being sold for 15 grand to Halifax. Yeah.
So
I'll ponder the Irishman.
Okay, and obviously the bonus point is who's the second.
Talking about the Irishman, have you watched that on Netflix, Dave? The Irishman?
No, not yet. It is on our list. It's been added to our list.
Set aside a bit of time for that one.
Yeah.
FA Cup, 3 different sponsors, bonus year for no sponsor. So one of those is Budweiser.
Yes. Okay. 2 more sponsors to get for this decade. I mean, you haven't named this year who's the people that are sponsoring it at the moment.
Nope. No, I haven't.
Okay, you can have a stab at which
Don't push me, Dave.
You can have a stab at which year it didn't have a sponsor.
Oh yeah, that's just going to be a have a guess type one. So I'm going to go for literally the first year in my head was like 2009. No, that's not in this decade. It's 2016.
No, but you're unbelievably close.
Okay, it's 15 or 17. Right, I'll leave that one. Oh no, let's get over and done with 17.
No, incorrect. 2014, 2015. Who's that one?
Oh, I won't get points for that. Which Premier League club earned the most in player sales and globally? So globally, is this net? Or it's just player sales, isn't it?
Just player sales, yeah.
Okay, so the answer I knew the thing was net, was Benfica globally. Is that?
It is globally Benfica, yeah.
Oh,
they have made the most in player sales this decade.
Premier League player sales, I'm going to go for Chelsea.
It is Chelsea, yeah. Well done.
Good. Yeah, they sell very well.
That's your first question with full points. Oh no, you've got Kyle Walker and Danny Rose. Sorry.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Manchester United with 4 goalkeepers with 10 plus appearances. So, obviously, goalkeeper of a decade, David De Gea.
Okay, yeah, done.
Sergio Romero.
No. Hasn't featured in 10 or more Premier League games this decade.
Oh, Premier League, sorry. I thought it was just overall.
No.
Okay. I'm struggling to think when things happen. So, do we have the time of Ben Foster being at United?
Nope.
Lindegaard?
Yes, Anders Lindegaard between 2010 and 2015.
Ooh, is this also a Thomas Kuszczak era?
It is a Thomas Kuszczak era, 2010 to 2012. And who did he replace before David De Gea signed? Thomas Kuszczak had 1 season.
So there's... Okay, right.
We've got one more goalkeeper who's very, very famous.
Was it Van der Sar?
It was Edwin van der Sar, yeah.
Edwin van der Sar, yeah. We've got your actual good one. Yeah.
Okay, good. Full points on that one. Number 9.
Number 9, Jose Mourinho's 3 clubs he's managed in a decade: Chelsea, Manchester United, and one other.
And one other, yes. Okay. All right.
So would that be Inter Milan?
It is not Inter Milan.
Oh no.
Inter Milan. He left Inter Milan in 2009.
Did he?
Yeah.
You sure about that, Dave?
I am sure about that. Unless you're on his Wikipedia page and you're cheating.
No, I just thought I did some research and thought he'd won a Champions League this decade, and I thought it was the 09-10 Champions League with Inter Milan.
Well, okay, we could have a contentious decision. He's not on my list as that, but you could be correct. But I'll give you a hint.
Okay.
Who did he move from Inter Milan to?
Real.
There we go.
Real Madrid. He's not had a bad decade, is he?
He's not, yeah. He's had a decent
Maybe
decade.
one of the managers of a decade. We might chat about him. And number 10, the top scorers in the Premier League in the decade is Aguero and Kane.
It is correct. So we'll come back later on at the end of the podcast for the ones that you are missing, which is, just to quickly recap, the FA Cup has had 3 sponsors. I'm doing them in reverse order because it's in my word.
Lovely.
The FA Cup has had 3 sponsors this decade. Can you name them? You have named Budweiser. You have 2 more to get. And for the bonus is which year... This decade, I've told you that answer. Which year this decade? Yeah, he's got it. There we go. Okay, we can rule that one off. He's got number 5. Which Irishman has made the most Premier League appearances this decade? And for the bonus point, who is the second highest appearance Irishman in the Premier League this decade? Which is a very difficult question to phrase.
Yeah. Another word for appearances.
Number 4, who was Man United's shirt sponsor at the start of the decade? Bonus point, the deal was eclipsed by Chevrolet, who offered how much per year to be Man United's main shirt sponsor within a £5 million remit, or not remit, you know what I mean, limit, region. Number 3, this is why Josh does the quiz, everyone. Number 3, to the nearest 10, how many appearances did Aaron Lennon make for Spurs this decade before being sold to Everton in 2015? And number 1, in September 2009, Coca-Cola ended their sponsorship of the EFL Championship. Who took on the sponsorship to start the decade? And for the bonus point, who ends the decade as the current sponsor?
Oh, is one of them Sky Bet?
Sky Bet is the bonus question. So they are the current sponsor who are ending the decade. Okay. So we'll close that one off for you. But there we go. That's the start of the quiz. Josh, you're hosting this podcast. So where are we going next?
So we're going next back through the years. So I've got some topics. We're just going to have a free-form discussion on elements over the past decade. So let's start with our moments overall in the past decade. Now I'll give you some. I've made a little list of some things, and I'll give a brief chat around them because why I think they're moments of a decade, and maybe if you've got anything to add, then we'll think about maybe putting a poll out for this over coming week, so we can kind of see what the listeners think of what is a moment of a decade. So obviously, number 1, I'll say this to you, moment of decade, Aguero!
No, sort of. This is, if anyone picked up on this on the intro of last week's podcast, this is what we were discussing at Sod Off.
Yes, it is the moment.
Sod Off.
The other moment I have an idea of was when I've got an image. Where were United playing? Where, Sunderland, something like that?
Yeah, Phil Jones's face.
Yeah.
It's ingrained in everyone's memories. Yeah.
Honestly, Phil Jones's face could be the answer to a lot of questions.
Yeah. Is that really your moment of the decade?
Honestly, so I remember that day. I had never done it before, and I've never done it since. It was last day of Premier League, and I invited a few friends around, to my house, and we watched the football. We watched the kind of results come in, and we were watching. And it was the Man City QPR game was on TV, obviously, and watched it, and it was just an event I'll just never forget. It was like, this is absolutely ridiculous. It's absolutely phenomenal. This has happened, and it is for me one of the moments of a decade. Yeah, it's a last day of game of the season, last minute win to win the league on goal difference. How is that not as good as it gets?
No,
for City fans.
Yeah, for City fans, exactly. It is a moment of the decade. It's one that I want to forget.
I didn't say it was a positive one.
Yeah, it's just yeah. Okay.
All right, so other ones I've got. England finally winning a penalty shootout. Eric Dyer scoring the winning penalty against Colombia to win the quarterfinals, was it?
Yeah.
That must... Yeah, we had not won a penalty shootout for, 20 or something years, is it?
I think you could sort of put a memorable moment as that whole World Cup for England. Because not only did obviously we beat expectations, we had an easier run, but we beat expectations, but it galvanised everyone in the country, really, didn't it?
The amount of It's Coming Home was being sung. It was just beautiful. And if we bandaged that together with the Trippier free kick against Croatia, it was like, I'm starting to believe.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, everybody goes on about the Kane not passing to Sterling, and I think someone was offside or something. I think it's as clear cut as people think, but yeah, that was a hell of a World Cup, wasn't it?
Yeah, just brilliant. Very, very memorable for the decade. I think it's a little bit of maybe of recency biased because it obviously has just happened, but I still think it's something that will live long. It's only going to be eclipsed by us getting to the final, isn't it?
That would only be eclipsed when we win it. Yeah.
So.
The next one I've got is a weird one because I hate the guy, but the Troy Deeney goal versus Leicester to win the playoff semi-final.
The penalty save down the other end.
Yeah,
so
Anthony Knockaert steps up for Leicester, saved. The defender hoofs it clear to the right wing, and then they look for the breaking. It's currently Leicester going through. Is it Leicester going through, I think?
Yeah, I think it was it Leicester?
Or is it going to go to penalties? It is Leicester, yeah. I'm wondering if it was going through or it was going to penalties. And so they break, and then the ball breaks to Deeney, lashes it home. Watford win 3-2 in the 97th minute to send them through to the playoff finals where they get promoted to the Premier League. And that was just from one end. Yeah, if it was a knockout scores, they win it in normal time. but then he misses and it goes up the other end and Watford score. That is just there's a pitch invasion. Anything ends in a pitch invasion of like a genuine pitch invasion is normally something momentous, isn't it?
Yeah, I agree. That is an incredible moment, an absolutely incredible moment. That's better than Aguero.
Yeah, I think Leicester fans might feel like they prefer the Aguero moment.
Yeah,
that one.
Leicester fans get their own memorable moment.
Yes,
winning
their
the league.
Their moment's coming up. Yeah, we'll go for that then. So Leicester title win is, the 5,000 to 1 odds. The Claudio Ranieri giving them pizza when they keep a clean sheet, and now that 11. Do you reckon you can name it off the bat? That 11, that starting 11.
Oh God, Kasper Schmeichel.
Yeah.
I'd say was it who was the right back? Danny Simpson.
Danny Simpson right back.
Wes Morgan and Robert Huth.
Yeah.
And then Christian Fuchs at left back.
Yeah.
Was it 4-4-2?
Yeah.
Mahrez.
Yep.
Kante. Who was next to Kante?
Now
it was just Kante twice, wasn't it? It was just
yeah,
he did so much work.
They both got their big money moves to Chelsea.
Oh, Danny Drinkwater.
Yeah, Danny Drinkwater.
Mark Albrighton.
Yeah, biggest nose in the Premier League. Yeah.
And then Jamie Vardy.
Yeah.
Alongside.
For 60 minutes, this play when it normally had a sub. I think it was Shinji Okazaki.
Shinji Okazaki. Yeah.
Yeah.
Bloody hell!
Now
what a shit team to win the
I
league.
know, you read that side out and you go, that won a Premier League. It's like
yeah,
it did. Yeah.
What was everyone else playing at?
Honestly, yeah. What was everybody else playing at? It was just their year. It just went so right, didn't it? And that, I mean, Leicester having a fantastic season this year, but and probably playing better, but things probably aren't going to go their way like they did in that season. I've got another World Cup moment. This is much like you look away in the Aguero moment. A lot of Brazilians will look away at this moment. 7-1 Germany-Brazil.
Oh, yeah.
That was just... It's just, and I can kind of sympathise with the Brazilians because it seemed to happen with the Spurs match against Bayern. It's like that's gone in again, is it? Brilliant. Okay. And it wasn't the thing people put it down to was Thiago Silva was suspended. I think this was his match. So it was David Luiz was there marshalling the defence in inverted commas there by himself, and it was like, oh, that's not gone well at all.
Yeah, it's. It was one of those where it was like, I think it got to like, was it 4-0 at half time or 3-0 at half time, and everyone was sort of like, oh my god, this is bad. And then it got to like, I think Brazil scored, and then it got to like 5-1, and everyone was like, oh, just make it stop. Like this is like it was
in
fun.
Brazil as well, in the Maracanã, and it was their World Cup, and I mean it would have only been made worse if Argentina had then gone on to win the final. Mario Götze had to say something about that.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, a moment of the decade, definitely 7-1 losing to Germany.
I've mentioned one of the Champions League comeback wins, but because they went on to win the final, Liverpool comeback versus Barcelona. That is somewhat recency bias, but has there been against one of the world's best sides?
Yeah,
it's got to be up there, isn't it?
I would also chuck in the Barca comeback against PSG. Was it?
Yes, but that was in the earlier rounds, wasn't it? That was kind of
true.
This was to get to the final, and 6-1 that other comeback was, wasn't it? I think, and but this was just, especially again, it's similar to reading out the Leicester 11, isn't it? Who scored the goals? Oh, two of them were scored by Divock Origi. It's like,
loves a big game. Loves a big game. Yeah, and so they obviously went on to win the title with Origi scoring again the final goal of the 2-0 win over Spurs. But I didn't see that. I was on holiday in Florida at the time. I've not actually seen the match in full, but I thought you didn't watch it.
No. I remember I was driving back from Disney or something like that, and I was watching it going, oh my goodness, it's going to happen. Tweets and things were coming through. I was like, I really didn't want that to happen because I didn't want to face Liverpool in the final because I don't really like facing English sides in the Champions League because you face them quite a couple of at least 2 times a season anyway, and it's like, oh god, if we lose that, I don't know any Barcelona fans. I know lots of Liverpool fans. Yeah. All right, then a couple of next ones I've got are managers. So obviously Sir Alex retiring.
No, yeah.
And Wenger out. So Wenger obviously managed the most games in this decade, but he eventually, I can't say retiring because I don't think it was a retirement, was it? But it was um, a leaving of Arsenal finally after years of the old hashtag Wenger out, wasn't it?
Yeah,
So both two of the biggest Premier League managing legends departed this decade.
yeah, it's definitely been it's towards the back end of the decade where social media has become more involved in football. There's been a huge rise in the hashtag, Poch out, Mourinho out, or Moore out, and Wenger out, and all that sort of stuff. It's just very interesting to see how social media has changed with football and changed football.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, that brings me on to what I was going to mention later on. But it's been that kind of technological development, isn't it? And you mentioned social media, that's part of it, but obviously there's the rise of stats and data as well, isn't there? It's been a real heavy decade for data. You look before it, I imagine you look back at Premier League years 08, 09 or something like that, we have nowhere near the level of comprehensive stats and statisticians and XG, for example, and obviously the technology element as well with VAR coming in this decade. It's been a decade of real kind of progression, and maybe not success at the moment, but it's definitely progressed.
Yeah. It's hard to call it progress, isn't it? It's progress in terms of what it's adding to the game, but is it progress in terms of?
I mean, one of the biggest things which is success is the goal line technology. That has been perfect, isn't it?
Yeah.
That is, yeah. And that's what everybody kind of like. I think people think of when they think of VAR. It's like, but it's just a very clean cut situation. But my other moment I had was it's in two parts because he says the word and then he does it in the following match. And so this is Steven Gerrard's motivational speech on the pitch to his Liverpool teammates saying, "We do not let this slip," and then proceeds to then slip against Chelsea with Demba Ba scoring a crucial goal and to hand City the title.
Yeah. Great moment.
Yeah. Oh, it's weird, isn't it, Dave? Do you prefer that one to the Aguero moment?
Yeah. I think as a memorable moment, Aguero's more memorable, but as a hilarity, let's all laugh at Liverpool moment, that was much better.
So if you choose four then to go for the poll, I'd choose Aguero.
Yeah.
Leicester winning the title.
Yeah.
Then what else would you put in the the
Liverpool comeback against Barca?
Yeah.
I think just like you said, just for the feat of it, of overcoming a team that has been renownedly that good.
With the best player ever.
Yeah, with one of the best players ever.
I thought I got you.
I think. I don't know. It's tough. Maybe the England World Cup run, just because of what it did for the country. But is it that memorable?
I'm not sure people remember it as much. I think that people loved it and really lived and breathed it during, but I don't think it would live long in memory because it ended. I mean, Aguero ends with a title win. Leicester title win, obviously title win. Liverpool ends with a Champions League win. It's almost like, oh god, England's ends with a semi-final.
I'll tell you what. I will not forget that 7-1. I will not forget that because I've gone back and watched that on YouTube a couple of times, 3 or 4 times since.
You sick bastard.
Yeah, because it's just I was like, because you watch it and you're like, I can't believe that happened.
Yeah. So we'll put those four to a poll. We'll have a few polls this week. We want to see what our listeners think. What are the moments of the decade? Unless you have anything else to add, we'll go to a different subject matter, Dave.
No, let's move on. That's good.
All right. So this is a bit of a more internal focus one. So what has been the moment for your club of this past decade, Dave? So Dave supports Manchester United. What would you say has been the moment for you? Was it? I don't know, Dave.
Fergie's retiring. Fergie's retirement was emotional, like epic, sad, happy, a whole mix of emotions, and not knowing what was going to cut the shit show that was going to come afterwards.
The record scoring draw in Premier League history.
Yeah, the 5-5 with Lukaku scoring a hat trick for West Brom. I mean. Rooney's overhead kick, which we'll probably get onto later in terms of goals of the decade, maybe against Man City, that was unbelievable. It's tough because it's been the recency bias plays into it, but it's been a pretty successful decade. Still.
Yeah, you're second most successful. I think you'd say you're second most successful team in this decade, but it was just very heavily weighted to the first.
Yeah, to the first
3
bit.
years.
First 3-4 years. Obviously, Mourinho was successful, whether you class that as not, Europa League and Carling Cup is still winning. Did he win the Carling Cup for us?
Yeah, he won the League Cup. Yeah.
The League Cup, yeah. And then Van Gaal won the FA Cup, obviously, and just David Moyes that didn't win anything. But it's greatest moment.
What about
of the decade.
the PSG win was also a highlight.
Yeah, it was, but I don't think it's. I will remember the Wayne Rooney overhead kick against Man City more than that PSG win, because it was just absolutely phenomenal. Even if it did hit his shin, it doesn't matter.
It massively hit his shin. What about stopping City winning the title 2-0 down, come back to win 3-2?
Yeah, I was just trying to think of, now this could be, I could be slightly wrong, slightly out, but when we beat Man City with Michael Owen scoring in the
in terms of when that happened?
Yeah, in the 96, because that was memorable, because I was at the stadium that time and I can't remember what date it was, but that was memorable for very personal reasons. But I think that was this decade. It must have been.
Yeah, I think it was. Yeah. Ooh, no, maybe
Giggs slipping it into Owen, and I can't remember when Giggs
retired.
retired.
I think it was the 09-10 season. 09-10 season. Yeah, it was 2009.
Okay, that was a very memorable moment. Yeah. So, it's too hard, Josh. It's too hard. It's too hard a question.
Well, that's not bad because I've literally only got one. And,
Did you get into a Champions League final that you lost?
Oh, okay.
If I had to pick one, I think I would go, because it's so vivid in my memory, Wayne Rooney's overhead kick against Man City. If I had to pick one right now without being able to recall absolutely everything, then yeah, that, because it was fucking incredible.
Yeah. You went on to win the match, did you?
Yeah, we did. Yeah.
Nice.
2-1, I think.
All right. So for me, and this will just be moments along it actually. So the second best one will be the Spurs versus City. So City versus Spurs, the second leg of the quarter final, and the moment which I thought was going to be the worst moment ever was it Sterling scoring the last minute winner to put Spurs out of the Champions League, to only be ruled off for a valid offside. And I was laying face down on my lounge floor at the time, and I just noticed there was some change in the audio, like the crowd stopped or something. And I got up, and honestly, it was just what a roller coaster that was. But it was not too. I couldn't have believed what was going to happen in the subsequent round. So then the moment is obviously Spurs being just down and out away at Ajax. We'd lost at home to Ajax 1-0. We then trailed by a further goal, so 2-0 down. Then up steps Lucas Moura, and the last minute the assist around the corner from Dele Alli after being hoofed up by Sissoko, and he slides it in with his left foot. And then the scenes, and it made all the sweeter, more sour. I don't know which way around it is now, that we have the scenes on the Poch on the side, just so emotional. And we went through to the Champions League final, and the saddest bit for me is I did not enjoy any of the lead up to the final. I didn't enjoy any of the final, so I have to just stop my memory at that point, because nothing post Champions League semi-final win was enjoyable for me.
Oh, that's quite sad.
Yeah, it was just spent nervous and worrying about getting beaten by Liverpool, and then, I mean, what is it? A minute in, Sissoko and handball, and then it's just then it's just up against it, and Divock fucking Origi, and so I'd take, and you know what, I'd put all my eggs in that basket of that is my memory, and I'm struggling to think of much other stuff. So obviously there's minor things, because Spurs didn't win anything in the decade. One of the only top 6 club who didn't win anything, I'm confident in saying.
God,
I mean, fair. In domestic terms, Liverpool only won a League Cup in that time. It did win a Champions League, obviously, but in domestic terms, Liverpool only won a League Cup. so it wasn't overall success domestically.
That's clutching at straws.
Yes, it did win the best club competition going. But I don't know. You have minor things like for Spurs actually kicking on, having Pochettino manage them, and at the start of the decade it would have been Harry Redknapp and us getting into the Champions League, and that crouch goal against Man City, and David Bentley bucketing Harry Redknapp, and Kane coming through and seeing one of your own, and things like that. But it's all of the all pale in significance to that Champions League semi-final.
Yeah,
of which Harry Kane wasn't on the pitch for. Well,
no,
not
true.
until we scored when he came running out.
Yeah, true. If you could do that final again, would you start? If you were the manager, would you have started Harry Kane in the final?
No, we wouldn't start Harry Kane now.
Okay.
No, and I mean, my opening line to everybody would be, "Keep your hands by your sides."
Well, yeah.
But I think, the issue, just quickly on that point, is that Lucas Moura obviously had a fantastic semi-final, and he's very effective against sides who are higher up the pitch or has space to run into, and bring him on late. Liverpool drop deep is less effective. So I think having that Son and Lucas showed what they could do against City, against Ajax. So I think we should have stuck with that, and hopefully we'd win the game and then bring Kane on to do something. But who knows, because it all changed in minute 1. So
very true.
Or minute 2, sorry, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, but any Spurs or United fans, feel free to comment if you think that.
Well, everyone.
Yeah, but in relation to that, but then please, fans of, I mean, I don't know if you're obviously a Leicester fan or Wolves fan, is it getting promoted, or is it your championship season? Is it, if you're Arsenal fans, I don't know what you're going
That's
for.
What I was just thinking about Arsenal.
Yeah, is it Arteta, Mr. Legohead, coming back to manage you? A number of FA Cup wins, but it's been a bit of a slide for some. Man City, you got your pick, haven't you? Chelsea, you've got your pick, and so please comment below. No matter what status your club has, I'd like to know what you see as the moment of your season, because it was good to. Because I've, as a Spurs fan, I've got a lot of people go, "Oh, yeah, he didn't win." It's like, well, just winning something isn't the only memory. There's the journey up there as well, isn't there? And so I have fond memories. Like as an England fan, I have fond memories of getting to the semi-final in a World Cup, and as a Tottenham fan, I have very fond memories of getting to the final in the Champions League. And you can't take that away from someone. Just because you didn't win something doesn't mean it's not enjoyable along the way, is it?
Very true. Very true.
All right. Shall we move on to players of the decade?
Yes. How do you want to do this? Do you want to do our team, or do you want to go through No,
we'll just go a few shout-outs to players of the decade.
Ones that are in our team of the decade, or should we do?
No, outside of that, maybe. But I'm going to park Messi and Ronaldo, because it's clearly been their decade, and
yes.
But I'll run a few shout-outs for other players. So I did a bit of analysis on what the Ballon d'Or winners would have looked like without Messi or Ronaldo. So it'd have gone like this, Dave. It'd have gone Iniesta, Xavi, Ribery, Neuer, Neymar, Griezmann, Neymar, Van Dijk. That makes it, and is it a little bit sad that they?
I think it is. Yeah, I think it is. I think it's very sad that someone like the Manuel Neuer one sticks out for me, because it's not an attacking flair player, and it's when was the last time a goalkeeper got even nominated or in the top 3 or anything like that?
I know we're talking about this year about being a centre back being nominated.
Yeah.
Christ, a goalkeeper.
That must have been the year when he was like revolutionising being a goalkeeper as a sweeper keeper. And
is that going to be a Guardiola era, do you reckon?
Yeah, it might be Guardiola at Bayern Munich.
Yeah, so we got to work backwards. We got Van Dijk that's a City era, Neymar City era. Yeah, it's probably a first season under Pep, maybe.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, honestly, playing against Bayern this season, and he just realised he is so far out of his box. It is quite ludicrous. It is beyond anyone else. And also, just as an aside, Bayern's goal music when they score is Can, and it is absolutely brilliant. I honestly didn't mind conceding goals. So I was like, well, that's just fantastic. It was just, but Neuer was just a revelation.
It is a bit sad to see all those sorts of players. I mean, I couldn't give two shits about Neymar winning it. I think that would have been disastrous. But
Ribery was the one that got robbed, wasn't it? Wasn't there some from a recount or something? And he
Yeah.
or extending the voting or something like that. It was just like I think he very much harbours some deep-seated hatred towards the powers that be for not winning that, because I think it wasn't quite fair that he didn't win that.
Yeah. I mean, there's so what other players then, Josh? What other players other than those that have been listed in the Ballon d'Or? What do you think? Players that may have gone under the radar as a player of the decade.
No, I made a list of 3 names here of players who, not short-lived success, but all of their success really came within that decade and is now gone. So I made a list of 3 strikers of South American descent, which it was completely unintentional if that's the case. Do you fancy a guess at those 3 strikers? None of, well, I think one's still playing.
Carlos Tevez?
No, not Carlos Tevez, but he had a
very successful decade.
Yeah.
Yeah. Were they all in the Premier League, or are they around?
2 have played in the Premier League, and both were pretty much epic failures in the Premier League, actually.
Oh wow, okay. No, go on.
Both played for you.
They both played for me.
Yeah. So I've made a list of Diego Milito, Radamel Falcao, and Diego Forlan. Because at points during that decade they were all phenomenal. So Milito, obviously, in the Champions League win for Mourinho.
Yeah.
Falcao was at one point. I mean, how he doesn't get into that list of the Ballon d'Ors, actually, he must have been second and third and fourth in places, because he was unstoppable.
He was the best striker in the world, wasn't he, at one point?
Best striker in the world. I remember that. Was it Super Cup final with against Chelsea,
Monaco
and he just
Chelsea.
scored that.
Yeah.
He just absolutely just obliterated me. Yeah. And Diego Forlan had that World Cup. Was it 2014 or 2010 World Cup, where he was just. Yeah, it was a Diego Forlan that not many of us had seen, had they?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, very good. Yeah, nice list. This podcast is bringing up quite a lot of memories.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the other name I had to mention was, this is a player who has really kept himself relevant by career choices he's made, and he entered this decade aged 29, and he is still being talked about now. It is Zlatan.
Oh yeah.
And is that not, like, that's phenomenal? He's physically as kind of dominant as Ronaldo. Different ways. There's a strength speed element to it, but they're both in prime physical condition, aren't they? That's why they managed to, do it for so long.
He is an incredible human being, Zlatan. Whether you like him or think he's a dick or whatever, I think you have to appreciate that the way he's kept his body all those years. It's mental to think that he started the decade age 29. That is crazy. 29 and playing where? Where was he playing when he first started the decade? So he moved to us like 4 years ago now? 3 years ago? 4 years ago?
Have you seen that stat that he despite appearing for like 2 seasons, he is AC Milan's top goal scorer of a decade?
No.
Yeah. And that just shows you how he was at Barcelona. 09 to 11, he was at Barcelona. In a very weird move that saw Eto'o go the other way. Yeah, of course it would have been, because that's Eto'o, and they win the Champions League that year, don't they?
Yes, yeah, it was, yeah.
And is it right that he's never won the Champions League, has he? Zlatan? No, he hasn't. No,
he wouldn't have been part. No.
So yeah, that's always find it funny when players go the other way, and obviously that's the year that they win the Champions League. But yeah, I mean, it's been a horrible decade for Milan, hasn't it? Really, it's been. They've had. We spoke about Arteta managing, going back to manage Arsenal. Who everyone tried their hand at AC Milan. We had Gattuso, we had Inzaghi, we had Seedorf. They've tried everything, and it's been absolute shambles.
Didn't they start the decade with the whole scandal about is it Belushi, the owner, and the whole prostitute thing, and
the Bunga Bunga party?
The Bunga Bunga party, yeah. I swear that was this decade. I swear that was the beginning of this decade, and it all came tumbling down.
Yeah, Berlusconi, yeah.
It's Berlusconi, that was it, yeah. So,
any other names you wanted to throw into the hat?
I've got a bit of a strange one that I think goes a bit under the radar, but has been a very consistent through the decade until his retirement, which was relatively recently. Michael Carrick. Thoughts?
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah, I mean, he was. I mean, the age 32, 33. He almost kind of peaked, didn't he? He had a dominant season with United, just spraying balls out, and yeah, he had a very good, very very good few years with United, didn't he?
Well, yeah, because it's weird that like he signed before the decade. I think he signed in 2009, I think maybe 2008, maybe even before that, but I think it was somewhere around then. And he was there for the end of Fergie, survived Moyes, survived Van Gaal, and was there for Mourinho as well when we won the he won the FA Cup with Van Gaal, and then he had one more year but didn't play very much after that. But I think he's been very consistent throughout the decade, and I just thought I'd give him a little shout out.
Yeah,
good little player.
Yeah, we'll move into kind of things that have changed. So we mentioned Neymar there around this decade, and Neymar was almost single-handedly responsible for the with changing transfers, wasn't he?
Oh,
his massive move to PSG completely changed the landscape of transfers. I mean, at the start of the decade, we were seeing kind of, I remember I was looking at Spurs transfers and looking at out of Ajax. So Ajax was selling players for, I think Vertonghen was sold for 10, 12 million. Eriksen was sold for 13 or so million. Alderweireld was sold for 7 million, and they're all top class players. And now it's just absolutely it's gone off the charts, hasn't it?
It has, and it changed it. It changed the face of transfers. I think that change was always coming, so I'd rather use the word it accelerated the change, because the transfer prices were always rising, weren't they? They were always rising every year, and I think it just brought it forward so quickly that then every club suddenly went, oh, hang on, we can charge you this much, and if you want him, you're definitely going to pay it, sort of thing.
Yeah.
And it just brought it forward, and it's just, I still can't believe they paid that money. And the time
his time at PSG will not be looked back at fondly at all.
He's
will
played
it?
50% of the games or something. 50%
like
available games. Available games he's been available for. I can't talk today.
No.
That's what happens. 18
and
hours
they
of golf.
haven't been in the big Champions League matches either, have they?
Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah, so it's been a flop, a failed transfer. Neymar.
Yes, well. And it's changed the face of the transfers throughout the whole decade, hasn't it?
Yeah. It has. So, what's next on our decade?
Well, I had a list of a few goals that I wanted to mention that stuck out.
Right.
So these are the ones that came straight into my head, and I thought I'll just get them out there. So, Danny Rose against Arsenal is on his debut, playing right wing against Arsenal. Bang, we win. We beat Arsenal 2-1. I was there, sat behind where he there was a straight line between Almunia, Danny Rose, and me, and so I saw him volley that goal in there with my dad. Beautiful.
Awesome.
And then Robin Van Persie makes a couple of appearances. His header against Spain, the old looping header. His volley against Aston Villa.
Yes, I'm so happy that's in there. Yeah, that's what a goal.
Another similar one, and I would say is better. Do I say it's better? Tim Cahill against Netherlands for Australia.
Is it off the underside of the bar?
Off the underside of the bar, yeah.
Yeah, I do remember that one. Yeah.
And then one that defies all kind of science and logic was Papi Cissé's volley
against Chelsea.
Yes.
I saw that not too long ago. It must have been 2 or 3 weeks ago, and I was like, yeah, how on earth has that gone in?
And one I wanted to mention as well was I was watching some last night on YouTube, and I tweeted this. Is that you obviously remember Luis Nani's goal against Arsenal, where
and I saw you put the video
right. Yeah. And have you watched it back?
Yes, I have. I watched it when you posted the video.
Now, what do you think about it? Because obviously Jamie Vardy was set to score for the 8th consecutive game last week, but his goal has been given to Tim Krul as an own goal because he palms it in. But I can't help but feel that Nani should also either.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I think if it was scored now, I think it would be classed as an own goal.
You reckon?
Yeah. I think that was just
I agree that Vardy should be an own goal, because for me it's always, if it's going on target, regardless of the size of deflection, if it's going on target, you get the goal.
Yeah.
It could be going straight at the keeper and gets deflected outside of him. It's going on target. You don't know what's going to happen after that point. Keeper may just absolutely mess right up. But if it's going off target, it's never going to go in from your own volition, is it?
Agreed. Yeah.
Okay. Any goals you wanted to kind of chuck in there that kind of stick long in the memory?
I think there's Zlatan's overhead kick against England. Incredible athleticism to do that.
And audacity.
And audacity, yeah. The Rooney scoring for Everton from inside his own half against
West Ham.
Yeah, I think it might have been West Ham. No, that was for Man United. He scored from his own half against West Ham, Man United, and he did it again for Everton against someone who I forget. But he absolutely, like, it's not a chip. He laces it first time, and it's a wonderful, wonderful goal. I think that's got to have a shout out. I think the Arsenal goal against Norwich, the passing goal that ends with Jack Wilshere just touching it.
Jack Wilshere. Yeah, I saw that and I felt a little bit sorry for Jack Wilshere because he had so much promise, didn't he? And it really hasn't happened for him. He's now at West Ham still, and it's not been a great time for him, is it?
No. There's probably loads of goals that I'm forgetting, but at the top of my head straight away they jump out at me. The Robin van Persie volley against Villa is one of my favourite goals of the decade. Just
it's pretty special, isn't it? Yeah. Excellent. All right. But I'll see if you have a goal of the decade you want to submit. Please also add in the link to the video of a goal so we can watch that and salivate over it. All right. We'll move into managers of the decade, Dave. I've made a list of managers here, but and I added one because of a recent appointment as well. So I made this list of 4 managers. I mean, I added one of this because I was like, that's a pretty damn good signing for Everton.
Yeah, so I was going to say, the added one must be Ancelotti, yeah.
Yeah, so I had Klopp, Guardiola, Mourinho and Zidane. And then I added, I was like, you know what, Everton got such a good signing getting Ancelotti. He's got to have a similar record to the others. So I made a list of the amount of league titles and Champions Leagues that those 4 managers won, and it reads as follows. I'll do it in kind of rank order. So Klopp has 2 league titles and 1 Champions League. Mourinho has 2 league titles and 1 Champions League. Zidane has 1 league title and 3 Champions Leagues. Guardiola has 6 league titles and 1 Champions League. And Ancelotti is the same as Klopp and Mourinho with 2 league titles and 1 Champions League. Would anyone else you feel should feature in the managers of a decade for you there? You going to go all kind of United on me and say Sir Alex has got to be in there?
I mean,
it's fair. What he did with that absolute dross of a side, winning the title with that, it's pretty impressive.
I mean, it is impressive. Can you put Fergie in for managers of this decade? I think you can because he did. Yeah,
he won 2 league titles.
Yeah, 2 leagues, League Cup, and probably an FA Cup in there as well. Was that it? Two leagues.
No,
and Cup.
Yeah, he kind of gave up in the FA Cup, didn't he?
Yeah, when you're comparing him to the list you've got there, then you probably can't put him in. But it's a rose tinted past. It's sort of in like sepia. It's sort of in like sepia. Is it sepia or sepia, however you pronounce it?
I'd say sepia.
Sepia, yeah. Like it was just so good. It was so
Gareth Southgate?
Good. No, he hasn't done enough.
Oh.
It was just so good with Fergie, and it was like, what he did with that squad was just ridiculously good. But yeah, I could just not even saying words anymore. But
no, you literally just kind of just sat there with an erection. It's just all that's going on, isn't it? It's just a Fergie erection.
Yeah, I think it is. So I mean, you've got going back to it. You've got to have Mourinho in there. I'd say as much as you love him or loathe him, he's got to go in there.
It's funny that 4 of those 5 managers, if we include Ancelotti, are now managing the Premier League.
Yeah, which is ridiculous, actually. Absolutely, yeah.
And then you have Lampard, Solskjaer, and Arteta, who are all former players returning to their clubs, having won absolutely naff all.
Yeah, Very true. Yeah, very true.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to think of managers of the year. I mean, manager of the
I
decade.
did.
Ranieri, just for winning the league with Leicester.
Yeah, and he also won the league with Monaco.
Yeah.
I did have Diego Simeone there because he has kind of broken he did break the mould with
True.
Atletico
Yeah.
and he won a league title and obviously came very close to winning Champions Leagues as well. Could have all been so different for him.
Yeah. But,
Other managers, kind of, I don't know, Bayern manager Jupp Heynckes would have won a Champions League and that. But I think that for me, you can't really get past. I'll put the poll out as Klopp, Guardiola, Mourinho, Zidane, and I fear that the recency bias, because obviously Klopp is set to go to 3 league titles, it seems.
I think it'll be very closely run between Guardiola and Klopp.
You reckon? I would say, I mean, both have also dominated the styles. So Klopp has kind of got pressing, been obviously not the only exponent of it, but with the Gegenpress has just been a dominant feature in tactics across the decade, and whereas Guardiola's kind of possession based and just having footballers all across the pitch, having a goalkeeper as a proper footballer, having fullbacks, and both Guardiola and Klopp have led to the distinct change in how fullbacks play. Fullbacks were kind of fullbacks were really nothing. They were kind of seen as the easiest position on the pitch previously. Now they are.
Anyone who was
someone in. Sure, Guardiola still doesn't care about having orthodox players there, but they are very important into sides. But he's never really managed to successfully play. He obviously had Lahm there, but didn't play him there. Kimmich there, didn't play him there, and it's been a bit of a weird one.
Interesting. That'd be an interesting poll to get the answers for as well. Look forward to seeing it. So.
Okay, then I'll just quite tie off with a few other things I thought I'd mention. So I mentioned the rise of stats and data. It's also been, and also the kind of the transfer fees I wanted to mention. We've got a few other things. It's been the death of the number 10. The number 10 has died in this decade. In the tens, the number 10 has died. So the kind of the one Roman Riquelmes and your Tottis and Ozil is on his way out. They are a dying breed.
The slower playmaker.
Yeah, who are my favourite player on the pitch. I love watching a lovely number 10 just kind of maraud about through balls and just little dinks over the top. That's how I would love. That's how I want to play football. And to see them die is a sorry sight.
It's evolution, though. It's evolution.
Yes.
They'll come back at some point.
Also, I want to mention the rise of women's football. Obviously, the Women's Super League was set up in 2010. In the US, it was set up in 2012, and they've gone from strength to strength. It's been record attendances, record crowds, a very successful World Cup for the English ladies. Was it this year? I think it might have been this year, mustn't it? Yeah. So that's been a positive to see. A negative, I suppose I'd mention, would be FIFA. So we obviously had within this decade, we've had the scandal. We've had Sepp Blatter and UEFA with Platini and Qatar and Russia with their World Cups, Russia with their doping. So it's not been great for the governing body.
No, that's very true. It hasn't. It has not been. They would probably want to wipe this decade, I imagine. There's not going to be too much in FIFA's history of 2010 to 2019.
No. Do you have anything else you wanted to mention of a decade?
I sort of feel like TV should get a mention because of the money that's just going into the Premier League. So 2010, obviously there was a large amount of money going in, but I think it was 2010 when the boom of the foreign export of the Premier League and the rights that could go for it and be sold because of that. And then, that's when the whole chat around the 39th game came in and moving a game to there and teams going out to America and China and Singapore coming out here for friendlies and things like that pre-season, and the global brand, and then how much that has brought up money, and then how much Sky charge and BT charge and things like that. And I just think some people will see it as a positive, some will see it as a negative in terms of the money coming in. But I think it's been drastic, the increase in cost of the rights for the Premier League, and it scares me because it's gonna bubble at some point, isn't it? It's gonna burst.
Yeah. So
And
if you put your rather than your retrospective, you put your prospective hat on. Is there anything you think you can go? Oh, something might happen with TV or watch TV even next decade.
I think the Premier League will take it away. That they will sell it in a way that they keep all the money. In terms that I know they get the money at the moment. They won't be selling the rights to other broadcasters. I think there'll come a point where they will set up their own season pass for the Premier League or whatever, and it will be cheaper for everybody, but more people will buy it, so they'll make more money. I think they have to. I think NHL or NFL will do it for America, where you pay a price for the year and you can either watch your team, every game of your team, or you can pay a larger price and watch every single game for the whole season. And I think that's the way they're going to go in the future, I think.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree with that. Yeah, it should be an interesting decade.
It should be, yeah.
Yeah, as always. Yeah. All right, should we leave the decade there? We'll move on to do the old faithful Wikifiles, and then come back to our Premier League team of the decade.
Okay,
sound good?
That sounds good.
Right.
I got a Wikifile. Here comes a Wikifile. I got a Wikifile for you. Hey! So if you are just tuning in because you want to hear about the review of the decade of this. So the Wikifiles is what we do is between us, we have a game called the Wikifiles, and you take a player's stats from Wikipedia, and using those stats, the other person of the podcast has to try and guess who the player is. So we'll give you that demonstration now if Josh can send over his Wikifile. Okay, so Josh has sent me his Wikifile. Here it is. And oh my word, we have someone who started their youth career at AS Generation Foot.
The feet of a generation.
Yeah, which I am going to say is French, or either a French sort of African colony. Is that the right word?
Yeah, not bad.
Yeah. He started his senior career at Tunis, Dakar, which suggests to me he's somewhere in Africa. 2003, 2004. Oh, maybe in Dakar. Is Dakar a city?
Yeah, the Dakar Rally,
yeah.
Isn't it Senegal? Capital of Senegal?
Yeah, okay. 23 goals in 26 appearances. He then got a move to Metz because of that. In 2005 to 2009, he was at Metz. 36 goals in 95 appearances. However, during that time, he had loan spells at Cherbourg, 2005-2006, scoring 19 and 28. Good goal scorer so far in his career. 2008 to 2009, had another loan to Châteauroux. Châteauroux. You can do French better than me, Josh.
Yeah, Châteauroux.
Châteauroux. Yeah. 15 appearances, 4 goals. He then moved
to Red Castle? Maybe.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it would be. Freiburg got moved to Germany. Played for Freiburg 2009-2012. 65 appearances, 37 goals. That got him moved to Newcastle 2012 to 2016. Scoring 37 goals in 117 games, so struggling a little bit in the Premier League.
Yeah, same goal count as Freiburg, but they almost double the games, isn't it?
Yeah. 2016 to 2018, that got moved to Shandong Lueng, so he chased the money and went to China. I assume Shandong Lueng sounds Chinese. 16 goals in 31 appearances there, and then he's moved to Turkey to play at Allianspor and scoring 22 in 30. Well, he has scored goals everywhere he's been.
Yeah, you can see why people want to get him.
Yeah. So who scored goals for Newcastle?
Wherever they've gone.
Wherever they've gone. And have gone from... Well, this is a tough one, Josh. Normally, I get an inkling. And I don't even have a... So it's got to be... Well, now I think... is it Pape Cisse?
It is
it Cisse? Yeah.
It was... I unfortunately did not tie together the dots that I was mentioning. But I had this lined up as a Wikifile, and then I just neglected to avoid mentioning him as one of the goals of a decade. And so I was like, oh, God, I've given it away.
Yeah, I was thinking about it, and it was... Demba Ba was the other striker, but obviously he moved to Chelsea. He played for Chelsea, didn't he, Demba Ba?
Yes, yeah, so yeah. Also Newcastle. Yeah.
Oh.
I'm just reading. He set a single season goal record for Freiburg, beating a record previously held by Tony Yeboah.
Wow. Bloody hell. Oh, yeah, Papis Cisse. Great goal. Petr Cech had no
Yeah,
chance.
he wasn't really a complete striker though. He was a bit flimsy for him.
It's just he clearly just didn't suit the Premier League because he has scored goals. Well, he didn't suit the Premier League or China. Can you argue? Well, even then, it's 1 in 2. So, but yeah.
Yeah, and do you remember? Obviously, he had a spitting incident with Johnny Evans. Do you remember that?
No, I don't remember that.
Yeah, he got a 6-match ban for spitting to Johnny Evans, and then one more for elbowing Seamus Coleman. It was
Right.
altogether a 7-match ban. So that was a lovely stint for him there.
Yeah, bloody hell. Well, okay. Good wiki file, Josh. Good wiki file.
Thank you. Yeah.
Like that. All right, then on to team of the decades. So how do you want to do this? How do you want to do this?
So I've made a list of not quite 11 players actually because I've been struggling. We'll go from position through positions. I've done a flat 4-4-2 by the way.
I've done a flat 4-2-4.
Yes, I must admit.
Very, very attacking, my team.
I must admit there's a couple of wide men here who will not be tracking back.
Okay.
And even the centre mids might struggle a little bit. Okay, so we'll go start with goalkeeper. I think we're both going to say the same name here because he has been the standout player of a decade for me.
Yeah.
Standout goalkeeper. David De Gea in goal.
David De Gea, yeah.
Yeah.
Gotta be.
I think I saw someone this week in Melbourne, Alan Shearer's, and he had Petr Cech in goal. I was like, you are misremembering this decade, aren't you? That is not the man.
I think he gets an honourable mention, but he is nowhere near David De Gea this decade.
David De Gea, I mean, is come down a little bit. He had obviously a better season going better than last because he had a poor World Cup and a poor start to the season last year, didn't he? But
yeah.
I mean, at times he was just quite frankly unstoppable. That one appearance against Arsenal sticks in the mind.
Yeah, where he single-handedly won us the game. So
yeah. And there's been a few times where Spurs have played against it. I think it was last season actually, was it? When we played against you, and it's like we're just not going to get past him actually.
It's just
and he's a unique goalkeeper as well because obviously he started very much derided in his first season. Do you reckon it was too skinny, too frail?
Yeah, kept falling over, wanting free kicks, and yeah. He
obviously uses his feet a lot for a goalkeeper, but not in the stereotypical way. In the fact that he saves a lot of shots with his feet, very different to other goalkeepers. But honestly, he's just
easily the goalkeeper of the decade in the Premier League.
Yeah,
easily.
Okay, right. We'll move to the back four now. Have you got any nailed on here as in the back four, Dave? Because I've got
3 nailed on and I'm missing 1.
Okay, all right. So what position are you missing? A centre back?
I'm missing a centre back. Yeah.
So I'm going to guess yours then. I'm going to guess your other centre back is Vincent Kompany.
It is Vincent Kompany, my other centre back.
Yes.
Yeah, he's got to be in there.
Yeah, big Vinny. Yeah, he was just. I mean, and it was lovely to see him come back from it last season and win the title again because it felt like he'd never get back to the player he was.
Yeah,
he was just a formidable character, wasn't he? Just like he was so aggressive as a centre back, but so powerful, but also reasonably clean. I think he's reasonably quite professional, and a dirty player. And so, he was just, and he brought the ball forwards. He was a real leader, and that was definitely in my team of the decade.
A earlier point in the podcast about goals of the decade, his bluter against Leicester, top corner.
Yes,
what a goal!
Yeah, to snatch the 1-0 win to in a very close title race.
So I do have Vincent Kompany at centre back. Yep.
So I've got one of 2 names here as my other centre back, and I feel like I'm going to be called biased, but they have had both of them had very, very consistent decades. I'm gonna plump for the one who's just signed a new contract with Tottenham. I'm gonna go for Toby Alderweireld as my other centre back of a decade.
Okay, interesting.
He was a bit of a tough time with Atletico Madrid, but came in outstanding with Southampton. They managed to mess up signing him, so we signed him, and he's been here 4 years now. And he's been a mainstay, and he's just absolute class throughout the whole of that. And I'm not saying that he's been the best over that time, but he's been so consistently up there. There's other players who've had their one season of maybe would kind of usurp that. Like Van Dijk has obviously had a fantastic year last year, but I think he's had a shorter time of being fantastic. He had a bit of a season. One of his seasons at Southampton was pretty weak, and then obviously before that he was at Celtic. So I think overall, consistently and for the longest period of time, I'm going to put Alderweireld in there.
Okay. So I had I've had this, and I've scribbled out loads of names, and then written names, and scribbled them out, and it's like, I started with Vidic, and I was being very much Man United biased, so I took that, because I don't think he played enough this decade to warrant it. I mean, he was really good.
Yeah, but in the tail end of his career, he wasn't.
No, but I've actually plumped for someone that I really, really, really don't like. I've gone for John Terry.
Would you not put him in the same boat as Nemanja Vidic, just not playing as much in this decade?
If you think about this decade, he won 3 Premier Leagues and a Champions League.
Did he?
Yeah, so
wow,
he's had a pretty good decade.
Yeah, it's not really, yeah. I feel a little bit bad for mentioning Toby Alderweireld now.
And then he's got 5 other trophies that go with it, like FA Cups,
he's won a Europa
League, and
yeah.
And I think when I went through it and looked at the stats, I think as much as I don't like him, I had to go John Terry, and that centre back partnership really annoys me.
Do you know who actually featured more in the who features very highly in the team of each season? Gary Cahill.
Really?
No one will ever put him in there. I think he had 3 team of the seasons he contributed to.
Yeah.
In this decade, which is quite unique for someone who I don't think would be on anyone's list apart from Gary Cahill's mum's list of players of a decade.
He probably wouldn't even pick himself. So.
No.
Okay.
All right. What about fullbacks then, Dave? This has been a bit of a hard one because I mentioned earlier this has been a changing year for fullbacks, but really looking back, there's been no one who's had, not many, who've had consistent longevity success. I've got a right back.
I found right back really easy. Yeah, I found right back very easy. There was a name that came to my head, and I was like, yeah, happy with that straight away. Left back.
Is it Kyle Walker?
It's not Kyle Walker.
Oh,
have you gone Kyle Walker?
I've gone Kyle Walker, yeah.
Okay, I went Cesar Azpilicueta.
Oh, that's not a bad shout.
Yeah.
Not played all of it at right back.
No, but I think he started, didn't he, as right back and right wing back, and then when the wing backs came on, then he went to right centre back and.
Yeah, he's actually changed his style of play as well. Obviously, suffered a bad injury in his earlier days, and was a bit more of a marauding fullback. But 250 league appearances since 2012 for Chelsea. Yeah, that's another good shout actually.
Yeah.
But I'm sticking with Kyle Walker for mine because he has been for Spurs and for City and for England as well, but to a lesser degree, has been a very good decade for him as well.
Yeah, very true. Left back, have you got any names in there?
Yeah, so I had things like Danny Rose, Patrice Evra, Andy Robertson, but I really haven't settled on one. What have you kind of?
I've got Patrice Evra because I just think he was in a position where not many people have played for the whole decade. When he played, he was better than everybody else. And I think if you took that Evra and put him in now, he would still play really well. He'd be one of the best left backs in the league, if you know what I mean. But yeah, it's tough. Left backs.
Are you excluding his time at West Ham from this?
Yes, I am excluding his time from West Ham at this. Yeah, it's tough. Left back. Left back was a real struggle. I don't think Andy Robertson can go in there because it's too recency bias is too strong for that. Same with Van Dijk. Why everyone's thinking why didn't you pick Van Dijk? It's too soon. It's too recent. Sorry about him playing so well. Left back was the only position I struggled. I'm playing a 4-2-4 and I have no defensive players left to name. So N'Golo Kante didn't make my team of the decade. Everybody.
No, he's an honourable mention to me as Kante.
Yeah. No, left back was hard, so I plumbed with Evra.
I mean, I might as well carry on and go. Oh, no, I can't do it. I'm going to go Andy Robertson because he's really is fantastic, and I can't. I mean, recency
20% of the decade he's played, Josh. 20%.
How much has ever played?
Like at least 40%.
Yeah, but I think that Robertson is a fantastic player, and I love the fact where he's come from. Obviously, started off and kind of almost a failed in Scotland and has come through. Obviously, he can't be 20% of a decade. He's played for Hull as well in the Premier League.
Oh yeah, okay.
And he was very good for them. So
all right, well, played for West Ham, so 50% of the decade.
Oh, 5 games he played for them. Yeah, I'm going to go Robertson. Yeah, yeah, he's a class act, and by all accounts, a very nice lad as well.
Yeah.
Not matters. All right, we'll move on to midfield, Dave. What have you got in your midfield?
Well, I've only got 2 of them because I'm playing 4
Right.
people up front. So...
Well, yeah, I'm playing one holding.
Oh,
Who'd like to get involved, and then 3 behind the front 2.
Oh, I'm not. I'm very dependent on pretty much Vinny Company, John Terry, and David De Gea to do all of the defending in this team.
I reckon that'd work.
So my midfield 2, I've gone for Kevin De Bruyne and David Silva.
Oh, nice. I've gone David Silva as well. David Silva is one of those kind of underrated players that has obviously just been immense throughout, hasn't he? I remember when this has obviously been a decade of money for City. They got it in 2012 or something like that, and he's just been maybe a bit further earlier, 2008. And he's just been David Silva's been there throughout. One of their early signs, along with Vincent Kompany, has just been sublime, hasn't he?
Yeah, 13 trophies this decade.
See,
for Man City, David Silva. Ridiculous.
Nice.
Ridiculous.
Yeah, I've gone for, instead of De Bruyne, I've gone for another City midfielder, actually.
Riyad Mahrez.
No, Yaya Toure, I went for.
Yeah, Yaya Toure he was a honourable mention for me. Doesn't get in because I've very much weighted just going forward and scoring more goals than the opposition. But yeah, unbelievable.
Yeah, Yaya for that. I mean, he was just the complete midfielder. A team of Yaya Toure's.
The best box-to-box midfielder in the world at one point.
Yeah.
So
he was just so. It was quite a joke seeing him run forward. How powerful he was, how technically gifted he was. He could kind of do things. He had that season where he did a lot of things single-handedly, didn't he? He scored 20 goals from midfield that season.
Yeah.
Everything was going in. Free kicks were going in. Shots from range, tap-ins. It was just it was formidable for a player who also played in defence for Barcelona. It's just it was a.
Yeah.
And I remember when they signed him, I was like, oh right, it's one of these Barcelona players. They just were just had. Just he was making up the numbers at Barcelona. He's not a class player, but he really proved me wrong.
Yeah, I've got to ask then: do you not have Kevin De Bruyne in your team?
I don't have Kevin De Bruyne in my team. No.
What is wrong with you?
Because I have Gareth Bale and Eden Hazard.
Gareth Bale.
Gareth Bale was probably one of the best solo seasons that the league has ever seen.
Hang on, are you playing Eden Hazard as a centre midfielder, as a midfielder?
No, it's just a 4-4-2, mate. He's playing wide left, Bale wide right.
Okay, yeah, all right.
Yeah.
Well, I'll give you that then. Yeah, I'll give you that. All right. If I pushed David Silva on the wing and said just tuck in field,
just tuck. Oh yeah, that's well use of David Silva on a wing.
Technically, I'm playing 4-3-3.
What a waste.
Yeah. I don't have to justify my team. I'm playing 4-2-4.
No, absolutely.
And all 4 strikers are actually, one of them's wide because it is Eden Hazard that I've got, and the other 3 are all in the middle. So anyway, yeah.
So obviously we mentioned Toure, mentioned Silva. Hazard has just been an absolute joy to watch in the Premier League, wasn't he? He just that big old bottom, just pushing his way through, just this centre of gravity, his speed of change, and then obviously they had the Downing Tools season when the Chelsea players gave up.
Yeah.
Yeah, which wasn't great for anyone. But then, he still managed to ruin Spurs' dreams of a title by scoring that in the Battle of the Bridge. Oh man! But yeah, he was a class player, and it's a credit to Chelsea this season. They're starting to creak a little bit, but they lost like 50% of their goals this year of him going to Real Madrid. And it's a bit of a shame to him not set the Bernabeu alight yet. But
yeah. He's such a good player. Again, someone that hasn't won the Champions League yet. So
yeah, unlike Gareth Bale, who's won 3 Champions Leagues, but obviously none of them whilst he's in the Premier League. But that final season with Spurs, 21 goals from the wing, AVB season, he was just unstoppable, and it was great to see him play. And just maybe I'm being biased with Spurs here, but that was one hell of a season to see from a player.
Yeah. I mean, okay then. So I can predict your front 2.
Yes,
Kane,
we mentioned them earlier in the
Aguero,
quiz.
yeah, and they make up 2 of my central 3 in my weird asymmetric 4-2-1-3 formation. Can you guess my other one?
Have you gone? You've been biased to Man United here.
Well, I've not. I have, but he very much deserves to be in a Premier League decade 11.
Wayne Rooney.
Wayne Rooney, yeah.
Does he?
248 appearances, 114 goals, and 54 assists. That is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Absolutely ridiculous. You put Gareth Bale in there for one season.
He played a couple of others.
You're wrong.
I would be more inclined to, in my honourable mentions, I've got 2 strikers, and neither of them are Rooney. I've got 3 of them are strikers. Sorry, I've
Van
got
Persie.
Suarez, RVP, and Vardy. I've not even considered.
How can you not consider Wayne Rooney?
Because it was on a steady decline. It was just like
he was still doing it really well.
Yeah, but it's also tarnished because he's dragging it out. We're set to see him play in England again, aren't we, in the new year?
Yeah, for Derby, yeah. But
I
don't care if it's recent. You put Bale in there for Spurs bias, then I put Rooney in.
Blimey, you could chuck Wayne Rooney in centre mid then because of how his decade ended, if you want.
No, I don't want to. I like my asymmetric 4-2-1-3.
Keep your side balanced.
Doesn't need to be balanced, mate. I've got David De Gea, Vinny Kompany, and John Terry. So.
Any other honourable mentions you want in your side?
I think Raheem Sterling deserves an honourable mention.
Yes, he's also there on mine.
Yeah, I think he does. Just for the abuse he's had to put up with when he moved from Liverpool to City, and when the fact he did it, he was amazing at Liverpool and then amazing at City, or is still amazing at City. Only 25 as well.
Yeah, banging in goals.
Yeah,
and
ridiculous.
He played so much of this decade as well. You don't really realise. Same with me. So I had Kante, Suarez, Sterling, RVP, and Vardy as my honourable mention.
Yeah,
so
I had James Milner as well.
Played a lot.
Just
you know who's played the most?
Longevity. What, this decade?
Yeah.
Oh, no. Who has? Milner must be up there.
I think it's Jordan Henderson.
Really? Oh, wow.
I think. Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. That's why I didn't put that question in the quiz, because I couldn't find it out.
I was hoping you were going to name me an Irish person, but...
no, but I can give you a clue on that, Josh. You have named him in this podcast. You have named him in this podcast as well. Wasn't me. Unfortunately, you didn't say it was an answer to a question, so I haven't given you that one. But yeah, has that confused you a bit?
Yeah, I'm now just sat here, mouth wide open, going, I've mentioned an Irishman.
You have. Yeah, you have. Yeah, I mean, that's... let us know in the comments below if you've got any changes to that team of the... Or what's your team of the decade in the Premier League, and did we get anything wrong? I think everyone has to put David De Gea in there. I think everyone has to put Harry Kane and Aguero in, and I'd be surprised if anyone left out Vincent Kompany.
Yeah.
You'd get a few people, I think, that would miss out Eden Hazard, just because he's probably not liked as much. But
just as a quick question then, who would be your Premier League manager of the decade?
Oh my God, they change so much. I mean, it's out there, Josh. Big Sam. Right. But
are you fucking serious?
Went into Crystal Palace, kept them up. Went into whoever it was after that, kept them up. Like, he's... I can't be serious with that, can I? Like...
No.
Mourinho, maybe.
I'm thinking from personal perspective. Obviously, Mauricio Pochettino has been just.
No, he hasn't won anything.
Does mean you can't? What's Big Sam won? Your first answer, Big fucking Sam.
Yeah, but he's kept teams up. That's what he does.
What has he won? A pint of wine? Ridiculous.
He won against
Slovakia. Let's have a look at Sam Allardyce's managerial honours. He's won. I did not know this even happened.
Yeah, he won Division 2 with Notts County or something.
So first of all, Limerick, League of Ireland First Division in 91-92.
Wow.
He won the Football League Third Division with Notts County. He won the playoffs with Bolton. He won the playoffs with West Ham. And that's it.
He also won the Never Getting Relegated award on his CV. Sunderland, that's the team he kept up. I couldn't remember who it was. But no, he's obviously not the Premier League manager of the decade. I think he deserves an honourable mention. Roy
Even
Hodgson.
For his, he's got a 100% win record at England.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. Roy Hodgson. Just for what he's done at Palace and Fulham?
Liverpool fans may disagree.
Yeah, Fulham wasn't this decade either, so I can't include that.
Yes, it was.
Was it?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that we started the decade with a Europa League final.
Oh, yeah.
In 2010 Europa League final, and is at the starting 11s, and the team is something to behold, right? So
the UEFA Cup as well, by the way, it was then.
No, Europa League then.
Oh, was it? Oh my God, this decade has just gone mental.
So managing them was Roy Hodgson. Do you know? So this is Atletico Madrid versus Fulham. Do you know who was the manager in the opposing dugout?
No.
Quique Sanchez Flores.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah, and so De Gea started in goal for Atletico.
Yeah.
Aguero and Forlan started up front.
Bloody hell.
Now, who's obviously departed us in this decade, Jose Antonio Reyes was on the wing. Simao was on the other wing.
Bloody hell.
Yeah, I mean, this is a Fulham side. Mark Schwarzer, Chris Baird, Aaron Hughes, Breda Hangeland, Paul Konchesky, Simon Davies, Danny Murphy, Dixon Atuhu, Damien Duff, Zoltan Gira, and Bobby Zamora.
How did that team get to that final?
Wasn't this team? They beat Juve?
Oh,
Come
yeah.
back and it's all Clint Dempsey, wasn't it?
Yeah. Oh, bloody hell. Bloody hell. Right, well...
That's how we started this decade, with Roy Hodgson and Quique Sanchez Flores managing in the Europa League final.
Bloody hell, that is
They've both had a hell of a decade, haven't they?
Yeah. Bloody hell. Right, well, we better move on, Josh, because this has been easily our longest podcast we've ever done.
Yes, we'll move back to the quiz, shall we?
Let's go to the quiz. So earlier on, I asked Josh 10 questions with a total of 25 points at stake. He has successfully answered, or he has successfully got this many points. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 points of a possible 25. So you're doing all right. So I'm not going to repeat all the questions. We'll just go through the ones that you haven't answered correctly. So in September 2009, Coca-Cola ended their sponsorship of the EFL Championship. Who took on the sponsorship to start the decade?
I don't know. I'm going to go for... I'm going to guess a brand. I'm going to go for Hot Point.
Do you know what? You're not far off-ish. The N-Power Championship.
Oh, Empower. Yeah. Yes, I remember that. Yeah, the little green and red logo. Yes.
Yeah. To the nearest 10, how many appearances did Aaron Lennon make for Spurs this decade before being sold to Everton in 2015?
To the nearest 10?
To the nearest 10.
Are you tricking me here? I mean, are you counting appearances from January the 1st onwards?
I'm counting appearances after doing the maths on Wikipedia.
Okay, right, okay. So he's played, say, 5... So we'll go 5 years, and we'll go about 30 appearances. 150.
The answer is 131. So I was looking for 130. So not far off. Good guess.
No.
Good guess.
Well, I got the bonus point of Burnley there, didn't I?
Yeah. Right, so in doing a bit of web research whilst doing the podcast, who was Man United's main shirt sponsor at the start of the decade? The answer was actually AIG.
Hey!
But that's not what I wanted. The question was meant to be, who took over the shirt sponsorship at the start of the decade? Because AIG had it from the 2009 into 2010, and then 2010 became someone else.
Oh, God. Is it a really, really big name, or is it a weird one?
It's a weird one, I would say, if that's your two options you're giving me.
We're not talking about your penis.
Hey. You've laughed far too hard at your own joke there.
Oh, it wrote itself. I was like, oh, this is beautiful. I'm going to go for Hot Point again. I don't know.
Aon.
Oh,
it's where it changed from AIG to AON.
Yeah. There's a little double a bit of colon in between.
No,
colon?
No, it was just all one word. And then the bonus point was the deal was eclipsed by Chevrolet, who offered how much per year to be Man United's main shirt sponsor, and you had a region of 5 million.
I'm going to go for 50.
Oh, he's just a bit short, believe it or not.
Wow.
63 million pounds a year
Wowie.
is what Chevrolet paid Man United to be their shirt sponsorship.
Amount of money.
And here we go, Josh. The one you've technically already answered in the quiz. Which Irishman has made the most Premier League appearances this decade?
Right, so I haven't... I'm just going through positions here. I haven't named a keeper. I haven't named... have I named right? Seamus Coleman?
Seamus Coleman! There it is.
Yes.
Yeah. And then, for the bonus point, who is the second highest Irishman with Premier League assists? I can't phrase that question.
I'm going to go for Richard Dunn.
Oh, no, bad luck. It's your favourite striker, Shane Long.
Shane, you know what? He came to mind earlier on. I was like, God, if that's the case.
And do you know what? Actually, since I've put this question together, I think Shane Long may have overtaken it.
Really?
Yeah, because Seamus Coleman has played one game for Everton against Man United where he came on, and Shane Long has played like 4 games for Southampton, and they were very close to each other.
And Shane Long didn't play today against Arsenal.
There you go.
We're recording now during the Arsenal match where it finished 0-0. So
Shane Long definitely didn't play because he plays for Southampton. So.
So neither of them got any more appearances there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Number 6, the FA Cup has had 3 sponsors this decade. Can you name them? And you have named Budweiser, so you have 2 more to get.
So these are going to be big names as well. These aren't going to be like.
Well, you haven't even got the current sponsor who are currently sponsoring it.
The FA Cup as sponsored by. What do they do? What's the company do?
I'm not saying that; it gives it away. They also sponsor a football team in the Premier League. It is the something FA Cup this year. Budweiser was the FA Cup sponsored by Budweiser, and this is now the something FA Cup.
Oh God, I've gone completely blank. I'm going to go for the. No, I don't know.
This year is the Emirates FA Cup.
Oh, of course it is.
And the one before Budweiser, have you got any ideas what it was before Budweiser?
No, I've got nothing, Dave.
It was the FA Cup in partnership with Eon.
Oh my goodness. Eon.
Yeah.
Oh my. Yeah, so many Eons. It's taken me an Eon's name.
Right, and then you got number 7, you got number 8, you got number 9, you got number 10. So we're done.
So, did I at least get 50%?
Let's have a look. You were missing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 wrong answers, or 7 missing answers. So
that's all right.
25 minus 7, Josh. That's the maths you got to do. That's your last quiz question. 18 out of 25.
Times that by 4. 18, 24. 64%. 74%. 64%. Yeah.
2-1. So
yes, thank you.
There you go.
Please.
I hope you like my quiz.
It was a good quiz, Dave.
This is why I've been delaying it, because it's been a lot of research into it.
Well, how did it come about? Did you come up with questions and then
I'll tell you how it came about. No, I'll tell you how this all came about, because I was on holiday with my friend in Thailand, and we were having dinner, and he was like, Dave, how weird is your knowledge about football? And I was like, well, pick something on Wikipedia and ask me a question about it. And he picked the EFL Championship sponsorship question that I asked you, and I got it all right. And then he asked me the FA Cup one, and I got that all right as well. And I was like, this is the basis of my quiz for Josh. And
Dave,
I put it down
don't
to a
lie
decade.
to me. I've seen how you perform in my quizzes. Don't tell me you got them all right. You have to get this other guy to corroborate your story, because I'm spelling bullshit.
No. It was all spot on. Don't you worry. Yeah, but that's the end of the quiz, and I think that's at the end of the show.
That brings the end to an absolute colossal. It's taken us about a decade to record this, but it's been very enjoyable. So obviously, no reviews of the Premier League action this week, even though it's a packed schedule. And by the time we next speak, we'll have even more football, because we've got another round of Amazon Prime midweek action to keep us all entertained as well. So
you do, yeah.
We'll catch up with you then. With lots to talk about, and maybe, who knows, managerial changes. New managers will obviously have managed their first matches with Everton and Arsenal.
And
there'll be plenty
potential transfers as well, I think, won't we?
Yes, we obviously have one already gone through from. Well, set to go through on January 1st, isn't it? With the Liverpool signing Yes, from Salzburg, but. Until then, you'll have to catch us on YouTube, listen to our back catalogue, give it a listen, leave us some comments. You can also hear us on SoundCloud and Spotify, as long as we actually add the audio to those, rather than listen to an hour of silence. I mean, if anyone got more than a minute in, you're a fucking idiot.
Or you might have thought it was an upgrade on our usual nonsense.
Yeah,
that we
you're like,
chat,
oh,
yeah.
finally, some peace and quiet. You're doing as well as Dave normally does in the quiz.
Whee!
But you can also contact us via Twitter, but using our handle Football Talk. But remember,
There's no A in football.
no A in football. But until then, if you don't want to do any of that, just sit tight and wait till the next one. So until then, goodbye.
Merry Christmas.